What's up, everyone? Your Auntie Lexi's here. True to my word, I'm gonna start talking about things other than JRPGs on this channel. And what better way to kick it off than to try and whittle down the many incredible NES games I played down to 10. I had the privilege of growing up and being able to play games on both the Famicom and the NES. And if I can be a little personal, one of my happiest early memories was playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out with my dad when we met for the first time. My love for video games continues thanks to you, Papa. I love you. Anyway, I know I'm gonna miss some bangers, so post 10 of your favorite NES games in the comments below. Let's get started. As a game, Journey to Silius isn't the most remarkable, but if you grew up in the NES era, you know that Sunsoft's composers made some of the best tunes. I could have picked any Sunsoft game to be on this list. Heck, their take on Batman was incredible. But Journey to Silius makes the cut simply because of its opening stage. What's funny about this game is that I played it when I lived in the Philippines, and since not many people knew Japanese back then, I remembered this game being labeled as a Terminator game. And if you think about that opening level, it kind of would fit that futuristic Skynet theme. So yes, it might sound silly to just throw this game in for the first level alone, but it's my list, and I'm sticking to it. And if you're curious about it, Journey to Silius is available as a Nintendo classic. Alright, I'm gonna throw you a bone for this next one, but you should know that this is my favorite Zelda game of all time, The Legend of Zelda. We've had some incredible Zelda games since this was released, but no game has captured that sense of adventure I felt when I was young. I still remember opening up the box and seeing this golden cartridge, looking up where I was on the physical map, and the almost impossible battle with Ganon right before you figured out that the silver arrow was his weakness. It had such a rogue's gallery of enemies and bosses that I still remember sifting through the instruction manual and lovingly poring through every drawing. And who could forget that iconic title screen, especially when it goes dark and the percussion kicks in. And the way it just loops so naturally when the demo finishes playing meant that I could just sit transfixed to watch and listen to everything over and over to my heart's content. If you want to join me and get stuck on the title screen for hours, you can start it up as a Nintendo classic. Celespi Hasup, a magic spell? Anyone who's played Final Fantasy on the NES knows what that's all about. In addition to being an incredible sliding puzzler, Final Fantasy properly introduced me to JRPGs, alongside another classic that we'll get to in a bit. What else is there to be said, other than the start of the long rivalry with Enix's Dragon Quest? And before you say that this game was made as Squaresoft's last-ditch effort to save the company from bankruptcy, Hironobu Sakaguchi debunked that urban legend. The reality isn't so romantic. He wanted the name to be pronounced the same in both English and Japanese. But going back to the game, traveling by ship, classes that turn into jobs, iconic villains, a globe-spanning adventure, there was so much that Final Fantasy got right that I'm thankful that I got to experience this when I did. The easiest way to play Final Fantasy is via the Pixel remasters, which had its original artist pour through the artwork and palette of every single game, and had its music rearranged and supervised by Nobuo Uematsu. The other game that introduced me to JRPGs is the most unlikeliest of games, Ultima: Quest of the Avatar. Think Dragon Quest, but prettier, mixed with Grand Theft Auto. Wanna kill a beggar and steal all of his gold? You can do that in this game. Wanna try and defeat Lord British? You can try, but you're gonna get your butt whooped. A lot of people have told me over the years to play the quote-unquote more superior Sega Master System version, but I didn't play this game for quote-unquote authenticity. Yes, they had to cut a lot of stuff out in this port, but at the end of the day, it was still a very competent game. As the name suggests, you play as the Avatar, as you try to demonstrate your mastery of good virtues and conquer its associated dungeons. This game's combat system was my introduction to tactical RPG combat, and I kinda admit that I felt bad when beggars would slowly make their way to the edge of the map to try and run, only to be felled by my sword. That's pretty brutal. Sadly, there's absolutely no way to play the NES version of Ultima Quest of the Avatar legally. While Castlevania Symphony of the Night is my favorite Castlevania of all time, Castlevania III Dracula's Curse is undeniably a close second. While it eschewed the RPG mechanics of Simon's Quest, it returned the series back to its roots. But what was incredible about it is that it's slightly different depending on whether you're playing the Japanese or the Western release. The Japanese version had a custom coprocessor that added 3 extra sound channels, making its soundscape much fuller, much like the song playing in the background. The entire soundtrack was then rearranged for the Western release, which gave that version a different yet similar character. And while modern gamers will complain about censorship, I just saw these as 2 different reasons to play the same game. Add to that the ability to recruit Sypha Belnades, grant Dynasty, or is it Dynasty, and Alucard in his first appearance, or not a lot of people know that you can just play the whole game as Trevor only, along with multiple paths that dictated how difficult your journey would be, in addition to exclusive locales, and you bet that there's tons of replay value packed in this little cart. You can play both versions of Castlevania III Dracula's Curse as part of the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Now on to another game I played in the Philippines, which happens to be an incredible platformer and a fun take on Castlevania. Kid Dracula. I remember seeing an ad for Kid Dracula being released on the original Game Boy in the West, but was ultimately surprised to see this Famicom title not arrive in the West until decades later. The gist is that Dracula, as a kid, had his eternal sleep interrupted by a mysterious force, and it's up to you to fight whoever woke you up. You'll be battling tons of familiar creatures prior to Dracula befriending them, and you'll be using his powers that you've come to loathe in previous games. But he's also got an advanced arsenal, like heat-seeking fireballs, a charged attack, and more. But what's great about this game is that it's obvious that it's got a sense of whimsy. My favorite part of the game had you fighting a mini-boss battle on a roller coaster, challenging you to stay on its tight platforms as the coaster spun around and enemies circled you. That part of the game sold me immediately. And the cutesy remix of Vampire Killer as the first stage song is super adorable. And for the first time, you'll be able to play this game, fully localized, via the Castlevania Anniversary Collection. Though I should probably add that I never played that version, and if I remember correctly, the first boss is a certain white-robed hooded figure with a potentially offensive symbol on his head, at least in the Famicom version. Another thing that gamers keep complaining about these days is game performance. And even old-timers swear that back in the NES days, we had games running at 60 FPS. The part that those fogies don't remember is how much slowdown and flicker they caused by bogging down the NES's poor CPU. And no other genre would bend the NES's capabilities than that of shoot-'em-ups. While the arcade versions of this game have been released in the West, the original Famicom version of Gradius 2 never did. But your girl got to play the whole thing from beginning to end. This game is essentially Gradius 3, but running on severely underpowered hardware. Gradius 3 had 4 options. Gradius 2 also had 4 options. Gradius 3 had a loadout system. Gradius 2 too had a loadout system. Gradius 3 had a crystal-encased boss with annoying tentacles. Gradius 2 had that too. And the more options and bullets were flying on screen, the more flicker and slowdown the game got. I made it my goal to make the frame rate drag down to a crawl, just so I could navigate through all of the bullet hell. So yes, unless a game's frame rate is absolutely atrocious, I won't dock a game for that. Until the time comes when I find a game that runs that bad, it's a feature to like, just like in Gradius 2. As I said, you can only play the arcade version via Arcade Archives, but I'm sure you'll find a way to play it if you wanted to. Whenever I think about Super Mario Bros. 3, I instantly think of the Tanuki suit that allowed you to transform into a statue. That both confused me and made me so excited to see what I could do with it. For starters, turning into a statue in midair would immediately drop you straight down, helping you avoid jumps that you overshot. But there are also other crazy secrets too, like holding down for 2 seconds on a white block, which would allow you to walk behind every single obstacle in the game and find warp whistles. My mind was so blown when this happened. And that's not even talking about how cool Raccoon Mario was, allowing you to run and fly up in the air, as well as all of the different themed biomes in the entire game. My favorites have to be Giant World and Pipe World. So cool. I have so many fond memories of Super Mario Bros. 3 that I can definitively say that it's one of my top favorite Mario games of all time. And as you might have guessed, it is playable as a Nintendo classic. Mega Man 3 appearing on this list instead of Mega Man 2 might shock some of you. After all, Mega Man 2 revolutionized the series with its 8 robot masters and its less rigid weapon synergy and weakness system. But Mega Man 3 had a funny debug feature that got left in the full game that allowed you to be invulnerable and have super high hops. But I should be clear that I did finish the game without it. Also improved is its robot designs and soundtrack, and Mega Man is quite known for its soundtracks. My favorite song, and conversely perhaps the silliest weapon you can get in a Mega Man game, is Snake Man. And when you consider that the robot masters were made to help humanity, you kind of have to ask yourself why anyone would want to make a robot that spits out snakes. I'm shaking my head still trying to figure that out years later. And maybe this is personal bias, but I love Gemini Man because I'm a Gemini. If you want to relive a piece of Mega Man history, you can play this game, and many other games in the series, as a Nintendo classic. We've talked a lot about soundtracks here on this list, and you bet that I saved the best soundtrack for last. Ninja Gaiden 2: The Dark Sword of Chaos. One of the coolest features of the NES Ninja Gaiden games was accessing a music and sound test feature at the title screen, complete with a graphic visualizer. And it also listed the names of the songs, too. If Final Fantasy and The Legend of Zelda showed me that you can have epic adventures that you'll enjoy for hours, Ninja Gaiden 2 was the ultimate realization to me that you could tell compelling stories in video games. Unlike many of its peers, Ninja Gaiden showed off highly detailed anime-style cutscenes way before when I knew what anime was. And it's got romance, blood, creepy villains, and shadow Ryus, which function very similarly to Gradius options. Admittedly, the shadow Ryus made the game a bit too easy. But what's crazy is that I can still play this game with the same muscle memory I had before, as if I was playing the game decades ago. That's how much I love this game and everything in it. You can probably even say that it's one of my top 10 favorite video games of all time. And you're in luck too, because Ninja Gaiden 2: The Dark Sword of Chaos was just added as a Nintendo classic back in November. Alright fam, I gave you just 10 of the many NES games that I would have loved to talk about here. Let me know which 10 NES games come into your mind and share some of your favorite memories of them in the comments below. And if you like this trip back memory lane, let me know so I can keep making them. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.